For the delay. Okay. So we all know digital is the real world on steroids, and social media is actually word of mouth on steroids. But pulling back, do you really think it's only word of mouth or PR that social media can help? Or is it also advertising, loyalty, sales, distribution, analytics, and everything else? Okay, one quick question. How many of us are consumers here? Everybody? So let's start with Mansi. She's been in advertising for a long time. Can social media actually help brands create need or desire for a consumer?
So, interesting buzzwords, right? Need and desire. I think one of the words that somebody actually brought up earlier this week was this word called crave. Do you know the definition of crave? Crave is, it means a powerful desire to want to own something. And something that digital has done for all of us is, I'm going through having a conversation on Facebook chat with a friend, and she tells me what shoes she's wearing, and immediately I have the need to own the exact same shoes. But that's the kind of behavior change that's happening. And somebody really smart in Ogilvy recently said that we're all shoppers just on sleep mode. There has to be a big idea, recommendation, or word of mouth, or any interesting experience that just has to awaken the shopper in us. And I think that's something that's happening over and over. I think Google did a very good study recently where they said there's no longer just a first moment of truth where you go to the store and you feel like you want to buy something, and the second moment of truth, which is when you go back home and the experience that you have while owning that product. It's the zero moment of truth, which is even before I've entered a category. For example, if I want to buy a PC, right now I'm not a PC intender, but I'm already experiencing it through a game that I played on Facebook before I even enter the category. So that's the zero moment of truth that's happening around everywhere. And of course, it's very obvious that it's an extremely exciting time to be in this business, because there are so many ways that in your strategy, especially for agency folks here, you're no longer just planning a destination, you're also planning the entire journey to that destination. So any thoughts on that?
Vivek, any thoughts on creating need, desire? Any other tools, technologies?
Sure. I think what is happening is that, let's say, with the zero moment of truth, there is probably -1 of that, where people are searching for things. What we've seen in the retail space is that, so I'll give you my own example. I used to buy electronics from this guy in Tardev. I've been buying electronics from him for the last 15 years. 15 years back, I would ask him what to buy. 5 years back, I would tell him that I'm buying this, should I buy it? Today, I'm going there, telling him, this is what I want to buy, this is the price, can you match it? So his influence on me has gone down completely. Now, I feel that one of the means of communication in that zero moment of truth is videos. So we've seen a lot of searches happening on YouTube. It's become the second largest search engine in the world. So if you want to communicate the product benefits, we've seen that video becomes a very effective tool for doing so. Whether it's a financial product, whether it's a retail product, and apologies. So there are a lot of people searching for these video views or videos, and that actually helps you sell the product. So it could be like putting a laptop skin on a laptop. We work with Inkfruit. There's a financial brands who've got 300,000 views for mutual funds. There is a very interesting site called VAT19, which does videos of these, they call it the curiously awesome products, where every single product they have on the site is communicated through a video. So they sell a half a kilo of a teddy bear on a stick, which is a gummy teddy bear. And they have some mind-blowing products. Every single product is sold through a video. So I think the future is that brands will have to become content producers. They'll have to become quasi-content producers. I have what here. So they don't have a choice. I think conventional publishers can reach out to large masses. But if you want to reach out to niche audiences who want to buy a product from you, communicating the benefits of the products, I think video is going to be a very important, critical chain in that, and brands will have to become content producers. So we've produced a lot of videos, and we feel that what are people searching for? Based on that, produce the videos, and then make sure that they optimize. They consume it on YouTube or Facebook or whichever other social media platform. I think brands can sell a lot more products if they can communicate the benefits of the products. And I think video is here to stay, and with the bandwidth improving, I think the growth in that space is going to be huge.
So the panel agrees that from suspect to prospect, from prospect to consumer, social media can be used to create need, create desire. Vaiti, what about the consumer? Can social media help in e-commerce?
Yes, I think we are clearly seeing in our own business significant impact of social media on the shopping behavior of consumers. And it's very similar to what Vivek was saying. I think a lot of decisions in terms of what to buy, what not to buy, are being shared openly. The big challenge for people like us who are, in a sense, we're not product creators, so we don't have a product. And our job is to sell an existing product to a consumer that we are finding it increasingly hard to reach. Earlier, there was a finite world in which we can reach them. I think that's become very infinite. Most of the conversations that are happening, people are buying products, sharing the services, saying, I bought this, I like this service in this place, or don't go there, that guy sucks, this is a great product. The challenge for us is to actually keep track of the conversations that are going on, try and make some sense out of the insights that people are sharing. And I think the anonymity of the social media and the 140 character limit helps people reach out so much of information in such short periods of time that I think half the time we're scrambling, trying to figure out what is it that we can do. This morning when I was coming, driving here, I just put on my laptop and is connected, and saw a very interesting. I'm going with him, and obviously I don't know who him is, but the other party knows and say, oh, then what are you going to do to movie with him? And saying, yeah, but I'm going to be wearing this. And she promptly put up a link of an image pulled out from our site.
Okay.
And I was very curious. I said images.indiaplaza.com. I said I must find out. I assumed that it was a dress that she's bought from us and wearing. I clicked, and I was shocked to see that it was actually the stuff that they give in airplane when flying to cover the eyes. So obviously, I'm going to watch the movie. And then the other lady comes back and says, oh, then what are you going to do in the theater? And then she's saying, well, that's a surprise, And they're out there right now this morning.
What did you say the tweet was again?
So you have to go onto the platform and search for India Plaza, and I think you'll get it. Okay. It's one of the conversations this morning, so it's there in the public world. I mean, it just shows that even as we are grappling, trying to figure out that people are going to share shopping experiences, people are using images to communicate stuff that I think companies like us are still trying to understand. Right?
Nice.
And that's the big problem that we are facing. There is clear influence happening. I think the challenge is for people like us to understand what consumers are doing. My strong view here is that as far as social media is concerned, I think consumers have moved far down the path, and companies like us are still grappling with the space.
Nice.
Just to add to that, there's a very interesting iPad app that eBay launched, which is the eBay Show app, where you watch a TV show and at the same time keep the app on, and you can buy everything that's featured on these shows. So I think it's very interesting about real-time creating the desire that you were talking about, immediately seeing it, creating a need, and then right there, within like 5 minutes, having the entire purchase cycle finished before you know that that person is a consumer. Nice. One of the most interesting things that happens in an advertising agency is we write these briefs, right? These creative briefs where we say who is our target audience. And typically, we've been taught to write very specific, 20 to 25-year-olds, girls, and so on and so forth. But you can no longer do that. And for once, I'm in agreement with the client when they say, oh, everybody is your consumer, which really is when you think about it, because you don't know who you're going to be targeting. And that's something that you have to factor in when you're thinking about how are you going to reach out to them.
So I think it's consumers looking for products online, it's brands looking for what consumers are looking for, and then actually giving them those deals, giving them those offers. So suspect, prospect, consumer sorted. What about advocates, creating a community? Any thoughts on that, Sridhar?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good afternoon all. Just to pick up from where YT left, I think social media is a fantastic platform to have customer intimacy and to get customer insights. But more importantly, from there, where do we go? There are a lot of companies and organizations that are very keen to have 1 million followers, 2 million likes, and so on. But what do we do with this, and how do we sort of dimension, tangibilize the value of this? There are a couple of examples that we've done at Citi, and which we think if we were to scale this up, it'll add value both to the customers as well as to the organization. So using customer insights, this is a real-life example. We set up 2 ATMs in Bombay. So we had a Facebook poll where we ask customers and give them a choice of a list of locations. And based on the most preferred location, we then set up an ATM there. And that was very well received. So this is an example of how we tried using an input from customers through social media and added value both to us as a bank and to the customer as well. I think there is a distinct mismatch between what consumers expect from social media and what organizations are ready to jump and deliver. Consumers expect that organizations would cater to them on a segment of one basis. They would offer them special deals. They would tell them things about their product which is honest. Organizations, on the other hand, are looking immediately to monetize this whole piece. How can I get more and more customers? How can I use customers for customer service? So there is a mismatch, and I think over a period of time, this equilibrium will set, where both the organization as well as the consumer will find that this is the way social media needs to be used. I think we're not very far from that point, but currently I think people are jostling for space. There's consumers who are demanding certain things from social media, and there are organizations offering certain aspects which don't necessarily match. So I think it's a very interesting phase for us to be, but over a period of time, we'll find out what that equilibrium is. Thank you.
So sounds,
Just add to that. While trying to play catch up with the customer, one of the things that most marketers forget is what they do is they implement a Radian 6 or a social listening tool and say, these are the keywords that I want to listen to, and this is my automated message that should go out. But of course, Radian 6 does not factor in sarcasm. So as soon as you say, oh, finally, I have a 5 rupee coupon from so-and-so brand, and they say retweet saying, look how delighted our customer is. Of course, I was kidding, unfortunately. And a lot of times, you can't just do social listening through these tools, automated messages that you can reply. You have to be more human than anything else. And that's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work. It's not just adding a social department in your organizations. A lot of marketers are now training all of their employees to be able to respond. And there are a lot of retail stores like Best Buy's 12 Force and so on and so forth who are making sure that everybody can answer the right way and is trained to read in. If it's sarcasm, then reading into the tone.
just when I thought we were all positive about the impact of social media on retail, suddenly we started talking negative. How many of us believe that it's all positive? No one. And negative? Any takes on negative? Mansi already started talking about how there could be a negative impact on retail.
Yeah, I think, over the last several years that we have been doing this business, typically I would come in the morning and check sales last night. One of the things that I'm doing this is tweets last night. The first thing I do every day is to come, and that's what I did this morning. What are people tweeting about? And it is something that really keeps us awake in the night, because unfortunately consumers are awake right through the day. And we're still not used to their working hours. I mean, it's a 24/7. And unfortunately, a lot of it is negative. The reason is, I think, the anonymity of the technology itself and the normal tendency of consumers to vent out a negative frustration as opposed to a positive experience largely means that a whole lot of stuff is there negative. But having said that, I think if I have to pick one word that has determined our experience with social media over the last 18 months, I would say honesty. I think what we've learned of social media is that, and I must tell you, probably not the right platform to say this, but I must say is that we've spoken to consultants, we've spoken to people who say that they're very experienced in social media. My personal experience is that it's not really true. So we actually stopped working with any of them, and we said, we're going to approach this with a very simple thing. We're going to be open, we're going to be honest. And in my view, we use whatever limited tools we had. I think the negative factor for our company on social media, let's say about 18 months back, was running at the significantly high 80s. It's now down to 20s, and I think it's significant. For a consumer brand, my view is that if you can manage your negative score below 30, I think you're doing remarkably well, because it's a very, very hard community to maintain a very high positive score.
I think I wouldn't say it's positive or negative. It's very different. And it is completely different from the way organizations are used to dealing. The expectation levels through social media are very high, and organizations need to sort of step up to that level. But it's a matter of time. Anything which is new and different takes time to get used to. And like Vaithi said, there was a negative score of 80, and now it's come down to around 20. So organizations will get used to it, and they will use this channel as as this channel which is an extraordinarily valuable channel for customer insights and customer experience. So the positive thing about social media, though, is that it gives a huge opportunity for organizations to create a community with very soft influencing skills. Not so much being in their face and saying, take this product, this is the best, but trying to understand the mood of the customer, trying to go along with the customer base, and like Vaithi mentioned, genuinely being honest about the products and services that we offer. So it will make organizations leaner, time to market will drop, and organizations will become that much more transparent.
Sure. So my take has been, I've met a lot of brands. Unfortunately, when they don't want to get it on social media, they say that, it's a Pandora's box. We don't want to go on social media because there could be negative comments about our organization. So my rationale to them always has been that anybody who's going to speak anything negative about your brand, he's never going to go and check whether you're on social media first. And only if you're on social media, they're going to post something negative about you. The fact of the matter is that if you're there or not there, people have a complaint against your brand, they're going to post something. The fact of the matter is that do you want to be in an environment where you don't have any supporters of your brand? You've been around for a few decades, you've got millions of customers. You want to build a community of loyal followers who, if the shit hits the fan, and most of the time it does, you need to have somebody out there who's going to support you. Because the thing is, somebody could be saying something which is actually wrong. Then you need to have the support of all the people who can come there and help you. So my philosophy is that at the end of the day, we are living in a digital age. We are now connected. We have, there is a book called Here Comes Everybody by Chris Shirky, where, consumers have become, the balance of power has shifted to a certain extent from the enterprise to the consumer. So when the consumers come together, they become almost as powerful as an enterprise, and many a times they're more powerful than an enterprise. So it's very important that organization also builds up that part of that consumers are in your community who have a positive impact that you've created in their lives, and you are able to shift that balance where you can actually look eye to eye with that group of consumers and answer the actual problems they're having and not shirk around their issue. Because if you don't want to go on social media, you need to shirk around the issue that is bothering your consumers. And social media, to a certain extent, actually has created more truthful users than what internet was before that. Let me give you an example. When I started my Facebook account, I don't know, 7, 8 years back, whenever it was, I just press enter, 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 and create an account. That's what I used to do when I used to sign up for a new service. A few years back, I got like 50 happy birthdays and 100 calls, and I said, it's not my birthday. He said, no, it is because of Facebook says so. I said, I know my birthday, or Facebook knows it. But the thing is, I had to go back there and even change a very basic information, which I didn't have any reason to lie off, but I had to change and make it accurate. So the thing is, because you're connected, you don't want to speak negative about a brand, because you've got 1,000 people who will say something if it's untrue. So you have a truthful user who's giving you negative or positive feedback, and as an organization listening to it and building the loyal group of consumers who will defend you when things go bad is almost essential.
I think you've answered a very nice question. What we actually did a few days ago was started a small little hashtag, Ask the Panel, and people have started sending questions on Twitter. So this was a question from this guy called Hep Hale. Can we actually get the questions up on the screen, the Twitter feed on the screen? Ask the Panel and adtech in. So it asked the question, is the connected consumer more powerful than the connected retail enterprise? Okay. So before we move on to you guys, can we answer a few questions from Twitter? Can you get? How important is analytics when it comes to retail? Analytics? When it comes to analytics?
So I think the way digital works is that, a lot of times we've had discussions with CMOs when they talk about is there creativity in digital? Now, my philosophy has been that creativity in digital a lot of times is something that is not seen by either the consumer or is it seen by the marketing department of the organizations. So data allows you the actionable insights, and from that you can get creativity. So if you look at what people are searching for. So I'll give you an example. We work with a travel brand where we found that 90% of the bookings happen across 3 or 4 locations in this particular city. So we came out with ad copies, which was 5,000 in nature for every single city, which talked about only those 4 locations, because giving them 90% of revenues. Similarly, we had thousands of hotels to sort out, which are leisure hotels, where we talked about children's activities, and business hotels, we talked about Wi-Fi. Now, from ad copy perspective, it doesn't look very creative. But hundreds of man hours of analytics work has gone in to come out of the actionable insight, which just shows up, improves the performance by 50%. Similarly, if you take the amount, so when you type something in Google, that's what you're thinking. So it's a database of intentions. Social media is actually a database of actions. So if you know what the world is thinking and you know what the world is doing, it can actually help various business endeavors of an enterprise. And all this comes to you in a very, very simple analytics dashboard today. You can get all this data. The key is that, they say that all the things that can be counted may not count, and a lot of things that cannot be counted will count. So it's very important to not go into that analysis paralysis and take that data, find out one specific thing it tells you, which is an actionable business insight that you can implement into your organization, implement it, go to the next actionable insight, and take chunks of it, which is enough for you to take that actionable insight, rather than going into say, okay, now I can collect 50,000 million users data, and I don't know what to do about it.
I just add to that, but nowadays what you do with that analytics or with that data is when you create your social media conversation maps or conversation calendars, you create these little blurbs which are your discovery zones. So for example, what Tesco did in Korea was that they know that women, when they're waiting for their bus after they leave work, at the bus stop is when they start making a mental list of all the groceries that they have to buy. So what they did was they created a bus screen where right there, using your cell phone and your QR code, you could pick up the groceries that you want to buy, and on your way home, or on your way, home, whatever, Tesco's closer, you can just pick them up, they'll be all ready for you to go. So those are the kind of data, that's the kind of data that you have to use and insights that you have to use and implement it and actually see it happen. And that itself helps your sales go up or get more people to be loyal towards Tesco. And
Karl, there's an interesting example. So we were talking about videos. Now, the thing is that the reason I couldn't answer the earlier question was I was trying to take the panorama photograph. I thought I'll take the whole from here to there. The fact of the matter is, Apple spends so much money in actually producing a product and selling it. The videos are beautiful in selling it. But if you see, 90% of the cost that a technology company invests in the product and marketing, but they don't actually create easy ways by which you can start using those features easy. So you're expecting the user to learn it, but the fact of the matter is if we had videos for every single feature, the 200 changes they've made to their operating system, how each of these changes can be easily used, it'll be so useful to consumers who bought the product. That's where advocacy comes in. And that is where the power of social media is, that even after the person has purchased the product, you can actually educate him, and that's what creates the advocacy and future monetization of the consumer.
Not just show and tell, but even buzz.
Yeah, absolutely. How to use every single feature that they've launched in a phone.
Nice. Okay, so summing that up, you need to be honest. You need to be careful of overcommitting and under-delivering. Otherwise, people are going to get pissed off on social media, and that's bad for your brand.